Welcome to Final Fantasy V 4 Job Fiesta 2016. This is run number 5 of 2016 for me. This is a pure chaos run. So you can see my jobs there are Berserker, Knight, Mystic Knight, and Dancer. I got Berserker right at the beginning, so I was Quad Zerker for a while until I got Knight unlocked with the Fire job, and then Mystic Knight and Dancer. So I was able to kind of increase my flexibility as the job assignments went on, but now you see all 4 jobs at work. I did, unfortunately, most of my leveling when all 4 characters were Berserkers, so I did not master many jobs to transfer things on, although I did master Dancer with Ferris down there. I kept her as a Dancer for most of the game, as much as I could. So Ferris down there, the Mystic Knight, does have equipped ribbons on, so she can wear a ribbon and be immune to the White Hole and also a lot of the Grand Cross abilities. With this party, I did not have to be quite as high leveled as I was here. Again, a lot of leveling happened when all 4 members were Berserkers. As far as equipment goes, my Dancer has the chicken knife, and actually I did not fully power up the chicken knife. I decided not to do the run grinding. It is over 100, so it's high enough that sword dances when they land will do over 8,000. 8,500 there on that particular hit. I did not grab the Man-Eater to use on this tree form of X-Death because it's just a little bit out of the way, more out of the way than I'd like to comfortably go. You can see it was pretty straightforward. The Berserker has the Thor hammer and is double-handing it, I should say. Double grip that Thor hammer. That's why it was doing so much damage. So the Berserker can hang out there and just throw that Thor hammer around. There were a few other choices I could have gone with the Berserker, but because I did have double grip, I decided to just go with the Thor hammer. And the Berserker will be able to survive a couple of the hits because she's in the back row there with Kira, but of course she won't have any, I won't have any control over what she does. Our hit point totals are not, because I didn't do a lot of grinding, they're not quite high enough to take a lot of hits. So you'll see later on, I just kept most of the characters with low hit points because one hit would take them out anyway, or almost would take them out. Ferris can reset her Mirage Vest there, but unfortunately resetting her Mirage Vest also removes her Magic Sword status. So later on when I have her cast Flare Sword, and I had to choose between resetting her Mirage Vest image or just going straight offensive and chucking Phoenix Downs at her. Now, she has to set her sword to Break Sword this round because we need to take care of that Almagest piece. And the biggest battle here really is just going to be keeping everybody alive. Once we get rid of Almagest and Grand Cross, neither the front piece nor the back piece can do any multi-targeting moves, so the only real risk there is Break Sword. You can see taking out the Almagest piece down there. It is susceptible. It's not weak to stone status, but it is susceptible to it, which means that Magic Sword will automatically apply it no matter what. So here I'm going from having the shield to double gripping, changing out how I have that. Delta attack there inflicts some damage and stone status on the Berserker. Now it was kind of... obviously I would want the Berserker alive and active, but the Berserker is not going to do a whole lot for me in this battle because there are, in the Super Famicom version here, the 2 invalid targets here on Neo X-Death, and the Berserker will target any one of the remaining targets, including the 2, they call them dead targets, or the 2 invalid targets. So sometimes the Berserker will hit a living piece, and sometimes the Berserker will just throw the hammer at a piece that cannot be damaged. And also the Hunter's X-Fight will do that. I think they took that out in later editions, but I'm not as familiar with the ins and outs of those later editions. You can see Lena there, I have her with the Ice Shield. That's just in case she gets hit by the Ice 3 from the piece in the back. I can play a little bit more defensively now. That will also give her some evasion for when the front piece attacks. Also, that back piece, we call it the magic piece, but it does have fight a couple of times in its routine. So we best to not forget that that back piece, some of these fights, and I believe also some of these dispels will also be coming from that back piece. Now, the Grand Cross piece, the big challenge is we do want to try to race that down. We want to minimize the number of Grand Crosses we eat, but we can avoid some of them if we can get that piece through its hit point threshold level. We can reset its AI routine if we can get it down far enough, because when it reaches about half health, it resets itself to a new AI routine, and then when it reaches about a quarter of its health, it will reset to another one. So if you can damage it fast enough, i.e. get enough sword dances to land on it, you can actually have it skip its Grand Crosses. Now here I do take the chance to reset her Mirage Vest, and that's because I'm not going to go on the offensive. I'm going to be throwing that Phoenix down. The Grand Cross is not all that threatening with this particular party setup because I have 2 ribbons there, although there are a couple of nasty things that can land on me. Luckily, I did not get any bad ones there. Either I got nothing or I got more likely statuses that these characters are immune to. And the ribbons are big helps with that, but also even the Berserker is immune to some of the mind-altering effects. And maybe it landed Berserk on the Berserker. The big challenge here is, and it's not really a challenge, is keeping everybody alive. And actually, we'll see, I start to get a little bit low on Phoenix Downs, nervously, dangerously low on Phoenix Downs as we go through here, because once you get into one-hit KO status like this, you really go through them quickly because all those pieces are they move pretty quickly. The front and back pieces don't have a lot of nothing in their routine. The Grand Cross and Almagest piece have an awful lot of nothings in their turn routine because they just have the special moves. Grand Cross will sit there and do nothing. Grand Cross can cast Meteor as part of its normal routine if you leave it hanging around with low hit points for long enough. So once it gets into its 3rd phase, I do need to start doing damage to it more quickly. And I sort of get bad luck with my defensive items here. I have the Aegis Shield on Ferris down there and the Ice Shield on Lena. She has the Excalibur. She doesn't get very many blocks. Actually, neither of them get very many. Ferris did just get 1 there, but that's why I set those rather than going double grip for them so they can pound on these pieces. I decided to go defensive, and it didn't really pay off for me. So thinking back, I probably should have put double grip on at least Lena. Ferris, I do like the Equip Ribbons as a secondary ability, just because it increased her defense and her agility so much, and also, of course, gave her the immunity to so many of those Grand Cross moves. But that's sort of just playing with the luck of the game. I do have the Rainbow Dress on the Dancer, of course, so the Dancer has the Sword Dance Up ability. I did not get an extra Rainbow Dress for Ferris because I didn't know at the time that I was going to be mastering Dancer, so I did not bother in the Phoenix Tower to steal 2 Rainbow Dresses, and I don't like fighting the Altaroit or the Altaloiti enemies. That was old man in German. I've been told by a good friend, R6. Altaloiti in German is what the Altaroit guys are down here. And the Jura Avis. I don't really like fighting those guys, so I just skipped it. Because again, I didn't think I would need it, and I decided I would go with the Mirage Vest anyway to help with some of those physical attacks. And since Ferris would not be using the Dance command, I would need the Sword Dance Up ability. Sadly, nobody in this team has super high magic, so I did have Ferris use it. I should have checked before the battle. Bart's was Butts. May have had higher magic. I did not check before this battle kicked off. So I was setting up the magic lamp for Odin because my standard is I like to go for the kill shot at the end on that back piece. I've been going to that more and more often rather than trying to watch the hit points of the other pieces. You can get rid of that magic piece, and I could have been a little bit safer, but I don't like the hit point tracking. And I also don't like leaving the Grand Cross piece alive with low health very long. So you have to work the front piece down then work down the Grand Cross piece, and then try to kill them both in the same round or very quickly to avoid the desperation attacks or the berserk status, or what. It's not actually the berserk status, of course. To avoid those desperation attacks, look that up on one of the many other sources if you care to see that. So here we've gone into the execution part of the battle. All of the luck is really gone. It's just up to me to make sure I have the magic lamp set up correctly, and then when I get the kill shot on the front piece, I have another character who can act, not the berserker, ready to use that magic lamp. I have to finish off the Grand Cross piece here, and if I can get enough damage into it, we can avoid the last Grand Cross. And once the last Grand Cross does fire, it becomes very important because you want to avoid the Meteo there. I have a little bit of indecision here as far as what to do, whether to revive the Berserker or not. The Berserker is doing very little for me besides just the occasional bit of random damage, but the best thing the Berserker can do for me right now is to be an additional target. And there goes the Grand Cross piece at the top. So I did avoid the Meteo and another Grand Cross. So Grand Cross wasn't much of a threat. I did still need to use the Magic Lamp one more time, so here is that usage. That's Leviathan there. It actually does less damage than the Flare Sword, and the damage to that back piece really doesn't matter at all. It's all about the front piece. And there's the Berserker's quirky little thing that I haven't found much about it in the algorithms guide. There's a miss on an attack on Lena. I haven't found much about that in the algorithms guide for the Berserker, but when they are revived, they will sometimes, not always, immediately execute an attack, no matter where they were in the ATB. So sometimes you can speed up Berserker's attacks by killing them and reviving them, but it doesn't always work, so it's not a strategy I would stick with. So again, right here, Xdeath has 2 living pieces and 2 dead pieces left, and I want all the damage to go on that front piece. So every time the Berserker acts, she has a 1/4 chance to target the target that I want. Of course, the Thor Hammer has a chance to miss, and that front piece has some agility, so it's significantly less than 25% of the time is the Berserker doing anything I like. And anytime you see the Berserker throw her hammer at something, and the hammer hits, you see the hammer slash animation, but no damage. That's when it's targeted one of the dead targets, or one of the invalid targets. And really, the name of the game right now is just sword dances that are going to do close to max damage. Again, because I didn't level up my chicken knife all the way, they're landing a little bit short of the 9999. But ultimately, it's not going to amount to too much. I knew it was going to just be 1 extra sword dance or so was going to make up for all the rest of that damage, so I decided not to run from those additional battles. And of course, any Jitterbug Duets and Mystery Waltzes are going to be totally wasted. There was another ineffective attack there from the Berserker. I don't know if those dead targets, I don't know if they have any built-in evasion, so I think that as long as the hammer lands, it will show that hammer slash animation, but of course it does no damage. I did not go with the Thornlit Earth Hammer choice for that Berserker. That's kind of a common one, but I just decided not to go for that on this particular run. That's one that a lot of players do on the Super Famicom version, and I've done that other times I've had Berserkers. But I knew that the rest of my party was going to be able to do decent damage to all of these pieces, and I've never been all that impressed with the Earth Hammer earthquake damage. Now here I get into a little bit of a dicey situation because I have just the 2 characters alive who can act, and I've got to get my Dancer back, and then I would like to get the Berserker back to act as a target to soak up the punches and the magic spells. And there's the quick attack there from the Berserker. Again, you can see that immediately throwing that hammer. And Flare Sword just boosts the damage and I believe cuts down on the defense of the target. So Flare Sword is the one to go for here. It's non-elemental. There aren't any elemental weaknesses on that top piece. So we can go ahead and just use Flare Sword to boost our damage and cut its defense down. That's why Ferris, even with one hand, she's not double gripping the Enhancer Sword. She can do 2,500 damage there. And there's the Sword Dance. It did land. It did take out that front piece, so now it's just up to Lena, who I made sure that her turn was coming up quickly. Now, the safest thing to do is to actually get it to their ATB bar is totally full. But when you do that, you risk getting knocked out again, getting KO'd by the other pieces, getting turns. So I decided to take a tiny bit of a risk there, because if that other one had a turn just about ready to fire, it could have hit us with Almagest or Meteor or something and just nerfed the run. Almagest would have been an instant game over. There's the fading animation. You see me saving the screenshot to tweet at the bot. This was the first attempt on Exdeath Neo Exodus with this party, even though it was suboptimal. And my execution was not perfect. I was running low on Phoenix Downs there at the end, and my equipment setup could have been a little bit better. I went more defensive than I probably needed to right there. But you always learn something when you go through these, even when it's the, I don't know, who knows how many times I've gone through these Fiesta runs in the last few years, and challenge runs and solo runs and things. But that was run 5 over. I'd love it if you got in touch with me with comments below. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit me up on Twitter, where I am active_ATE, just like my name. I love checking in with people, talking about games like these. Let me know what you think, and there will be more to come. We will see you next time.